Hey, it's Dave Wyman, time for Football 101, going into the playoff weekend against the 49ers. Seahawks able to get some help from the Detroit Lions. They got a overtime win against the Rams. But one of the things that we talked about yesterday, and the theme on our show on Wyman Bob has been, how does Geno finish the season? And I'm looking at his numbers now that the regular season is over. And I think you can judge it right now. First of all, you look at, as far as quarterback rating goes, Geno is number 5 in the entire NFL. And by the way, made the Pro Bowl on the NFC side. The other thing about him, if you look at the top 15 quarterbacks that are rated the highest, he's one of 6 quarterbacks who played in every single game. Lots of other quarterbacks missed games. So number 8 in pass attempts. That's another amazing stat, because going into the season, we didn't know who was going to be the starting quarterback until the 3rd preseason game when Pete announced that it was going to be Geno. And you would think, okay, this is a running team, Pete Carroll team, probably not going to throw the ball a lot. Like I said, number 8 in pass attempts. So, and then, number 1 in completion percentage, which has always been, between that and interceptions, to me has always been very special. I just think that says a lot about your quarterback. Number 9 in average per attempt with 7.5 yards. Number 3 in touchdowns, through 30 touchdowns. So, and then let's look at the interceptions. He ended up the season with 11. These are Pro Bowl players players who are in the playoffs that had more interceptions than Geno Smith. Dak Prescott had more. Kirk Cousins, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, all quarterbacks in the playoffs who have more interceptions than Geno Smith. So, and then another notable one, Aaron Rodgers. He's not in the playoffs, obviously, but he threw more interceptions than Geno did. So, and to me, if you've listened to Football 101, I really count on completion percentage and interceptions. And so I think those two are about decision making. And I think Geno has just made fantastic decisions this year. So I think when this whole thing is over and we're looking back on how this happened, first of all, the Seahawks making the playoffs after losing arguably the 2 best players in Seahawk history in Bobby Wagner and Russell Wilson. They make the playoffs with a guy who's been a backup for 9 years, or he started part of those years, but Geno Smith has been really incredible. All right, let's take a look at a guy that has been talked about quite a bit after this last weekend, Boye Mafe, who has 3 sacks, very quietly 3 sacks. He's one of the second rounders that was drafted this year, rookie who has just really come on. There's just something special about him. And let's take a look at him coming off the edge here, because something has clicked with Boye Mafe. First of all, I do like his stance, and that's important. As a rookie, you're trying to figure out what's the best way that I can get off on the snap, and what's the best position for me. He's nice and low here and just ready to launch himself around the edge. We'll take a look at this from the end zone, but what you can see just a little bit, you can see his green glove right there. The thing that he does is he actually swats the tackle's hands down. And that is just, it's all, pass rush is about your feet and your hands. And you see, first of all, he's got really good leaning into what Darryl Taylor calls it, tight to the fight, which means you have to lean hard against that offensive tackle and really be stingy with the space. Don't take a big loop, you have to really push against that guy. And the fact that he's knocked his hands down, that's what allows him to get around the corner. And here he is disrupting already Baker Mayfield in his throw, and so because he puts pressure on him so quickly, and that's all about that lean into that offensive tackle that is getting him home there. And here he is, he's kind of spun off of Baker Mayfield there, but he maintains his footwork. You can see his feet are moving really quickly, and so he's able to, gather himself and then sort of launch his attack for the sack. And here you see, and I think it was a sack for 0 yards, but a sack nonetheless. So, like I said, he finished with 3 this year, kind of quietly, and he just, early on, he looked like he was very hesitant and sort of, just like a rookie should look. And now I feel like he's just turning it loose. So hopefully he can have a big impact in this game against the 49ers. Let's take a look at it from the end zone. I mentioned his stance. I think he's figured that out. I don't remember him with that kind of stance. This is kind of these two defensive ends, what they call a wide 9 alignment. So, you know, you count as far as alignment goes from here on out, and he is, you know, like a 7 technique would be like right here, but he's really wide. They call wide 9 coming off that edge. But again, I really like the stance that he has there. He looks like he's very balanced. And this is what I was talking about. You can see he's already swatted the lineman's hands down, because you can see his arm is down there, the offensive tackle. But this is what I'm talking about, the lean and being stingy with space is what I call it. Like, you know, again, you're just pushing as hard as you can to the inside. And you know, as I mentioned, what Darrell Taylor, I think they have that phrase in the defensive line room, comes from Clint Hurt. And that's be tight to the fight. You got to really go tight off that corner in order to get there. And the impressive thing about this is that he kind of loses his balance a little bit. He comes around the edge, and then Baker Mayfield sees him, and then he's able to keep his feet going. And you see one of his feet is kind of up in the air there, and he's still able to get the other one down and maintain his balance and then just launch himself. And here's just a brief moment where he maintains his balance. You can see that Baker is kind of looking back at him. He knows that he's looped behind him, and so he regains his footwork right there. And then there's the end result right there, that he just launches himself at Baker Mayfield. And just, you know, you look at, he was lined up out here, came all the way around, and then back inside to make this play. So just great athleticism, but also just a really good understanding of angles on the field, pass rush, things like that. So really happy for him. Watch out for Boye Mafe. You may see him sack their third-string quarterback. The 49ers have Brock Purdy going. He was Mr. Irrelevant, which means he was the last guy drafted in the NFL draft last year. He's a rookie from Iowa State. And so hopefully Boye, another rookie, can get home.